We're back at the $1 million pool. And if you've been following along this far, you've seen us excavate over 200 tons of solid rock, place over 2 million pounds of concrete to get this pool 35 feet out of the ground. Then we moved over to the back side of the house for the secondary master suite addition. The walls were over 20 feet tall. And after that, we moved on over to the Supercar garage, another 100 tons of solid rock excavation. Then we brought in the structural steel, over 60,000 pounds of it. And now, in this video, I'm gonna show y'all how we framed this 8,500 square foot mansion. Let's get into it. This is where it all began. I am in the lower level game room, specifically the golf sim. Now, choosing your starting point when you're framing a home is of the most paramount importance, because you can't just pick a random spot and just build your way out of it, throw some wood up and call it a day. No, you have to be very, very exact. The first thing that we're doing is we're taking measurements, we're snapping chalk lines, we're making sure that everything planes out. Now, on a big renovation like this, it's really tough because the as-built survey that shows the existing home and the new architecture set are always going to differ just a tiny bit. But if you're off even a matter of inches, we have manufactured trusses, we have steel beams, we have things that are really, really hard to alter. It can screw up the whole entire footprint. Okay, so first up, we are gonna line out all of the bottom plates. So we take a 2x6, you put it on its side, and that is actually gonna get shot. It's actually a gun. It's like a bolt gun with a 22 caliber, and it shoots it into the existing concrete. And then you're gonna see the guys, they're gonna lay down the wall assembly and do it on its side, and then they're gonna stand everything up. But why this is tricky is all of your window openings, all of your header heights, all of that stuff, you're working on the ground and then standing it up in the air. So you gotta really just think spatially. And then you see, once you kind of get your outside corner set, you can start working back in toward the home. Now, this back corner of the house behind me is really tricky. If you can see, there is a huge retaining wall that's retaining the uphill side of the property. Of course, it's not plumb, it's not level, the corner is not a perfect 90, so working off of that was really tough. But on this lower level, we actually tried to utilize as much of the existing framing as we could, but a lot of adjustments had to happen back in this area. So like I said, we have some adjusting to do. You guys see them with the Sawzalls. That's just a reciprocating saw out of a gun, and it's nice when you have to get into some tricky areas, or if you need to cut through nails and stuff, the Sawzall will chew through anything. But they're cutting out some different headers. There's all these different pieces of wood that don't work in our new plan, but in the basement level, about 80% that's there is going to work for us. Along with our clients, we decided why not just keep it. So there is a little bit of rework to be done, but it saves time and it saves money. And most of all, it's structurally sound and in perfect shape. Now we're moving over into the mud room, the utility room. There's another guest bedroom down here. But mind you, a lot of these trusses that are above my head were existing. So a lot of them had to be modified. We had to add new beams in between. We expanded this whole hallway, but it's really tricky because the top level was above us the whole time. So the plus about keeping existing framing is, like I said, it saves you time and it saves money. But there are multiple things that can complicate this. Is when you're working down below, you already have a ceiling above, so you have to support the different areas that you're working on when you take certain walls out and stuff of that nature. This is all part of a renovation versus a new build. We're well versed in both, but I promise you, They seem alike, but they are very, very different protocols, and you have to go about things different ways. You have to be a lot more meticulous in a renovation. You have to look at existing conditions and existing complications. Where on a new build, you just need to work on perfection, but it's all brand new. You are the one setting all of your levels. There's really nothing in your way. You can kind of just go bottom to top and finish it up. Now, this garage was a real pain in the ass. It's an existing garage. It had this tiny 1-car bay here and a small 2-car there. We expanded both openings, but mainly we took out this massive load-bearing wall in between. Now, if you look up at those trusses, do you see the plywood that is cladded on the sides of them? That is when you make a cut on the truss, the engineer wants us to go 4 feet back from the cut and then nail all that plywood in on both sides for the repair. Now, I am standing in the Supercar garage. When we filmed the $1 Million Pool video, this was not existing. We excavated a literal mountain of solid rock to make this happen. Now, from a framing perspective, this area is also really tricky. We have retaining walls around the whole side, so we have to pack all of that out. We have to connect wood to steel. There's trusses hanging on steel beams, so we had to pack out all of those beams. But above me, this is an over 14-foot long cantilever. Look, this is completely floating in the air. From the outside, this looks awesome. But when you're framing something like this up, man, it's tricky. You got steel all the way to hold this up, and then it grabs on the other side of the house. Working up next to a concrete wall poses multiple challenges. Now we have steel beams intertwined with that. We have part where there's a floor on the top of us, so we need trusses, but then there's a roof on the back half, so you need joists. And then you're confined by all these concrete walls on each side. What if those concrete walls aren't exactly straight, right? You know, getting in where you could normally work on the back side of something and shoot a nail or get a bolt in, you have to do everything from one side. So some of the stuff you have to kind of think about doing beforehand. You gotta think 2 or 3 steps ahead. The guys nail it in this area. One of the things that I want you to pay close attention to on this whole project, you're working with an existing height of a beam. So all of these things need to be perfectly measured. You can't just put up your own stud, right? Now, we took off all of the existing 3/4 inch plywood and we came back with 1 1/8 Advantex subfloor. Why we do that? We want a nice level surface everywhere when we come back and do our floors, but also this stuff is strong. We want a nice stable base for the whole house, so it's really important to nail this. Subfloor is a very important part of a framing package. You want a nice level base because you're gonna come back with flooring and tile on top of all this. But man, it is labor intensive. Look at how many hundreds of sheets are on the ground. They're 4 feet by 8 feet, and the only way to get them up is to lug them on your back and haul them up there. You gotta go in, we glue where it's gonna touch down on the truss, and then you're nailing in between, and each piece of subfloor, one has a tongue, one has a groove, and they interlock with each other. Now that we got the subfloor down, we have a nice solid base to start getting our walls up and moving on to the full structure of the second story. I am standing in the new master suite. Absolutely epic views all the way around. Downtown over here and a beautiful canyon out front. What blows my mind is this space wasn't even existing in the previous home. We've added over 4,000 square feet to this home and added so much value for our clients. So now we are on to the walls of the upper level. And this is somewhat of a rinse and repeat like we did on the lower level, but why it's easier is because we already laid out the bottom level. There was a lot of time in setting up the lower level, but now you'll see this upper level, it comes together really quick. And there's not much existing walls up here. There's only just one back corner. So we are able to just fly through this whole thing. I want you to pay close attention. When the guys pull out those metal triangles. That is called a square. And man, when you see Pedro and the guys use this, they are like geometry mathematicians. What they know about angles and how to make certain cuts and make things square that aren't square, but they look square, it's absolutely mind-blowing. I just walked in to the new entry of the home, another set of additions. Now remember down there at the Supercar garage, that whole cantilever, that sets up this awesome little entry deck. So you walk up these new stairs that we made out of CMU and concrete, and then you have this awesome new entry to the home. The entry used to be set back all the way over here, but now we're entering a lot earlier into the property. So coming through this area is kind of this little delayed entry for a really grand space beyond. So if you notice, we kind of started at the far back corner of the home and we worked toward the middle. Now we're gonna start at the front corner of the home and work back toward the middle so both of those areas meet. Now remember when I was talking about the trusses in the Supercar garage, what it's holding up, that was this new entry area. And what's awesome is it's cantilever. So you're gonna be up here in the windows hanging over like the side of the building. It's gonna be really, really cool. But this is where the trusses meet the roof, and it's kind of really tricky in getting all this framed, but the guys nailed it. Now for the upper level, we kind of have both corners framed up. The guys start framing into the middle of the home. This is the formal dining. So if you look out this window, there was an 8-foot tall concrete wall that we had to cut down before, and now we see all that beautiful greenery coming through. There's some awesome details about this space. Of course, the floating fireplace. What I love about it is this is a massive open space, but you get the division of the spaces between the living room and the dining with the fireplace. And then throughout the home, we have multiple different tray ceilings. So if you look, we frame it down and then we leave the inside recess, and all around that little soffit is gonna be LED lighting. So it's gonna add this awesome feature to multiple rooms in the home. Now, we're framing from both corners of the upper level with the goal to meet in the middle. Look at this massive open space, multiple huge spans. We have steel beams to work with. All of this is windows. So framing those portals to nail exactly on our window size is really important. Now, with all the exterior walls framed to the actual house itself, it was time to start getting the joists in for this massive covered patio. What you're looking at here is a linear drain. And if you see all these cuts, these are all these miter cuts. We call them envelope cuts, to where all of this slopes into this drain because this is an outdoor area. So all the wind-driven rain, water from the pool, we'll have a drain around that side too, but now this whole patio will drain really nicely. Now, more joists to connect the house to the pool. Then we lay all this subfloor down. But what I want to point out is look at how huge the overhang is on all these roofs. You see how the corners are not supported? All of that is cantilevered. You're gonna have this half covered, kind of half uncovered, so that you can chill under the cover areas when you want to get out of the sun. But when you want to get the lawn chairs out and hang out by the pool, you have full sun. So the soffits on the entire home are gonna be cladded with Rainier plank, our newest partners. We've been using them for years and we couldn't be more excited to officially link up. We love to use the clear grain Doug fir. It is absolutely beautiful. There is basically no knots in the whole product. I personally think for the quality of this product, it's the most appropriately priced on the market, and you're gonna see it in all of our homes moving forward. Next up is the roof, and man, I love when the roof framing comes together because you can really see the final form of the house take shape. So this roof is what we call stick frame. You'll see it's all just 2x and LVLs and beams. There are no manufactured trusses in this roof. Now, there are some pluses and minuses to each. A manufactured system, you kind of just get them, you set them and put them in, but you're restrained by their exact lengths, and if they're off, it is a huge pain. But when we're stick framing, we have a little bit more wiggle room. The tough thing about a roof is you're on there and you're just standing on all of the rafters. It's really tricky. It's dangerous work. Some of these roofs are almost 60 feet off the ground. After they get all of the different rafters and ridge beams in, we have to make sure that all the slopes match the plans. I mean, there's a lot of technicalities in a roof. You got to make sure that the valleys are right so things are draining. We have to get set up for our integrated gutter systems, all of these different things, but it all comes together and it's looking great. Now, just like we did the subfloor on the lower level, we are going to put on the roof deck, which is essentially the same thing. This roof decking is a zip product. You see the guys make their own little ramp so that they can go in and hoist up each piece of the roof deck. And again, there is no shortcut here. You gotta put each of those sheets, carry them up. You have one guy up top yelling down different directions of different angles and different measurements, and another guy below who's gonna be ripping all of that down to size, and then they're gonna nail it all into the rafters. And that is how we framed an 8,500 square foot monster. The scale of this project is really, really hard to show. But looking down, we have over 60 feet of an elevation change on this lot. That pool is over 35 feet out of the ground, and the house is another 20 feet above it. Absolutely mind-blowing. We have had a ton of fun up to this point. So many different segments, so many different things that we've captured, but y'all, we have so much more to capture on this build. Wait till you see our windows coming in later this month. Then we're gonna start putting all the pretty stuff in, and there's going to be so much content on every aspect of the build until we're finished. Guys, you know I love when you comment. Give this video a like, please be a pal. And if you wanna see more badass build content, hit that subscribe button, turn the notifications on, because you're not gonna wanna miss what's coming up next.